and the bacteria, if I further classify the bacteria, they can be gram positive, gram negative bacteria depending upon how they react towards the Gram's stain. So, what are antimicrobials? These are the agents which are used to destroy or inhibit the growth of pathogenic microorganisms. Pathogenic microorganisms means they can cause infection and they can be troublesome for human beings. The antimicrobial medicines, they can be grouped according to the microorganisms they act primarily against. Like what sort of microorganisms that they are targeting. There is an important term that is known as germicidal and germistatic, or bactericidal, bacteristatic, fungicidal, fungistatic. What is the meaning of that? Cidal means to kill. So if any of the agent that is capable of killing the microorganism or the germs, I should say, they are known as cidal or germicidal. If they kill bacteria, they can be bactericidal. If they kill fungus, they can be fungicidal. And the other category is the germistatic or bacteriostatic or fungistatic. That means they do not kill the microbe, but they are capable of inhibiting the growth. Stat means to stand, to stop. So they stop the growth of the microorganism. So the antimicrobial agents, why we are studying these particular type of antimicrobials in this subject, that is inorganic chemistry, because we have got medicinal chemistry, organic chemistry also, but here only as I told you in the introductory part, that inorganic chemistry is the chemistry of the substances apart from carbon or hydrocarbons. So in this case, we will be discussing the elements which come under the inorganic chemistry and which are the elements which are used for the killing or stopping the growth of the microorganisms. So these are of six types as given below. They may be antiseptics, they may be disinfectants, they may be germicides, sanitizers, and there is one technique that is the sterilization. So these are the basics type of these antimicrobials. Coming to the definition one by one, what are antiseptics? We have to know the meaning of antiseptics or disinfectants. Antiseptics are the agents, they prevent the sepsis by destroying or inhibiting the growth of microorganisms on the living tissues. That is, they prevent the growth of the microorganisms. Ideal antiseptic, it should destroy bacteria, spores, fungi, viruses, or any other microorganisms without causing any harm to the tissue of the host. Because we have to treat the patient, we have to destroy the bacteria, but under any circumstances, the tissue or the normal cells of the host or the patient, it should not be harmed at all. So the ideal condition is that they should target the bacteria, fungus, or the microbes only. Now coming to the disinfectant. What are disinfectants? These are the substances which prevent infection by the destruction of pathogenic microorganisms and are generally employed for inanimate objects. Inanimate objects and materials such as instruments, room, hospitals, home, equipments, etc. To get rid of microorganisms. And all these disinfectants, they are bactericidal in nature. Specifically during this time of COVID, you must have heard a lot and lot about the disinfectants. Like we have to disinfect the instrument, the rooms, the doors. There are lot many ads coming on the television about disinfecting using Savlon, using Dettol. There are so many sanitizers that we will be discussing in my forthcoming slide. So the disinfectants, they act on the inanimate material like non-living things. Like we have to disinfect the room, the instruments, the hospitals, they have to be disinfected. For example, if you are working in a microbiology lab, so before carrying out your activity of your compounds against the microbes, the room or the lab, it has to be disinfected properly, because the previously available or present microorganisms, they should not interfere with the environment where you are working with the other type of microbes to kill their growth. Then there is another term, that is germicides. What are germicides? These are the substances which kill the microorganisms. The more specific term which is used is bactericide, fungicide, virucide, amebicide. Like sides, as I already told you, sides means the like they kill the microorganisms. So it is the vast or broad term, but if we are specific about, if we are targeting bacteria, then this can be bactericide. If we are targeting the fungus, it can be fungicide. If viruses, then it can be viruside or virucide. And if amoeba or protozoals, so it can be, the term is the amebicide, that they kill the various type of protozoa or protozoals. Then coming to the sanitizers. Sanitizers, what are sanitizers? Sanitize karna, lot many times, specifically during the time of COVID. We what we did is, lot of sanitization was carried out. What are sanitizers actually? These are the substances used to maintain public health standards and called as sanitizers. Sanitation is mainly concerned with the cleaning or washing away the organisms. As I mentioned that during this time we have done a lot of sanitization. It has become, actually, it has become a part of our or a particular habit of ourselves, that we have to sanitize, we have to washing of the hands. You see, uh, there were so many problems that were associated during this COVID time, but there is one positive thing that we have all learned, that is, we have to clean ourselves, we have to sanitize, we have to wash our hands, and this thing has become a habit these days now. And I am quite hopeful that we will carry out and we will continue this particular habit. Then next is the sterilization. What is sterilization? Sterilization is the process of complete destruction of all the living organisms. The complete destruction, including bacterial spores. It can be done by the physical methods like application of heat or radiation, or by chemical means like by the use of chemical disinfectant. Uh, these days, there are, for example, if you have considered about the injections or injecting syringe. In the previous days, there was a tradition of using the glass syringes. So they had to be sterilized, they had to be boiled for a particular time, and then these sterilized or these syringes were used for injecting the injection or the medicament. But these days, the sterilized disposable syringes are available. We Before carrying out the operative procedures, the all the instruments, they have to be sterilized properly. The operation theater, even the gowns or the aprons that doctors wear, the caps, the gloves, all they have to be sterilized properly, so that not even an iota of the bacterial spores or the fungal spores, they are available, or they are still in the environment. So there are various methods like by heat or the radiation sterilization, or by chemical means like the use of chemical sprays or chemical disinfectants. What is the mechanism of action of these antimicrobials? They are generally inorganic compounds, are not used as anti-infective for systemic infection. This is the basic difference between the inorganic compounds as antimicrobial agents and the antibiotics or the synthetic antibacterials that we use. Like You must have heard about sulfonamides, like penicillins, cephalosporins, or antifungal agents that they have to be taken, they have to be ingested. But these inorganic compounds, they are not used as for the systemic infection. They have to be applied superficially, but they should not be, they cannot be, they are not meant for ingesting orally. They are used only for the topical application. That is for the external use. And there are, there are instructions on some of the formulation or the packings that to be given externally or for external use only. So anytime any type of medication where it is mentioned on the label that it has to be given orally, it has to be used externally. So under any circumstances, such type of medications or antimicrobials, they should not be taken orally or they should not be ingested in the body. The inorganic compounds, they exhibit their action by, there are three main processes how these inorganic compounds uh, carry out their work or their action. Number one is the oxidation, number two is the halogenation, and third part is the protein precipitation or binding. Protein precipitation or protein binding. Now coming to what is oxidation, it is the basic chemical process that the reducing group is present in root of the proteins, and these groups are required for the growth and survival of the microorganisms. I repeat, the reducing group is present in the root of the proteins, and these groups are required for the growth and survival of the microorganisms. These reducing groups are oxidized by oxidizing agents which alter the shape and conformation of the proteins and thereby alter its function, and ultimately leading to the destruction of proteins. What they do, the oxidation process, what they do, these reducing groups, they are oxidized by the oxidizing agents who or which alter the shape and conformation of the proteins and thereby alter its function and ultimately leading to the destruction of proteins. Generally, non-metal ions, peroxides, metal peroxides, permanganates, halogens act by this mechanism. See, whenever if we do not just bother about the oxidation or the reduction or any sort of mechanism, how the growth of the bacteria or how is stopped or how the drug carries out its mechanism or its action, it is by changing the shape of the molecule, or there may be some the change in the basic structure. So the main structure of the protein is altered and it will not be able to carry out its function in the bacteria or in the microbe. Generally, non-metal anions, peroxides, metal peroxides, permanganates, halogens act by this mechanism. Here you can see this is the structure of the protein. There are sulfhydryl bonds. So what they do after oxidation, this is the shape of the altered protein. So the structure of the functioning of these proteins in the body is completely changed. Now coming to the halogenation. Most of the enzymes are proteins. As we all know, most of the enzymes, they are proteins, but all proteins cannot be the enzymes. So mostly the enzymes are proteins in nature. The primary and secondary amide group present in protein at peptide linkage undergo chlorination, which change in the molecular shape and ultimately leading to the destruction of proteins. See, in the case of proteins, as we all know that proteins are made up of amino acids. So amino acid means there will be an amine group as well as acidic group. So the basic, this is a sequel or the sequence of the amino acids that there is a particular sequence of amino acids which will be present in the protein, and the amino acids, they are joined through the peptide bonds. The bonds which join two amino group or two amino acids, they are called as the peptide bond or peptide linkage. So what will and I want to mention what is the difference between primary secondary amide group. Primary amide group is that amide group is basically what it is CONH, and if that NH is surrounded by two hydrogens, then it will be a primary amide group, and if one of the hydrogen is replaced by some alkyl or some other group, then it will be a secondary amide group. So primary and secondary amide group present in the protein at the peptide linkage, they undergo chlorination. That is, there will be reaction with the chlorine with change in molecular shape. The change or the structure or the molecular formula will be completely changed and ultimately leading to the destruction of proteins. If there is any sort of abnormality in the structure, that will ultimately lead to the disruption or the destruction of that particular protein. And if the protein is destroyed, so the bacteria which is composed of that particular protein, that will not be able to survive. Generally, hypothalites or hypochlorites, they act by this mechanism. Here you can see the amino acid, then CONH, again it is amino acid. It will react with the hypochlorite. Okay, it will carry out the chlorination. So here you can see amino acid, then again it is CON. Here one H of the nitrogen or the amide amino group, it will be replaced by chlorine. So what will happen? This is the structure of the altered protein, and that is why it will be destructed or destroyed. Then third is the protein precipitation or binding. Astringents, as you must have heard about the definition of astringents, that is, astringents are the compounds which bring about protein precipitation, that is, they precipitate the proteins and formed protective layer on the surface and hence stop bleeding by constricting the blood vessels. So, astringents protect from external irritation and reduce cellular permeability and hence its local styptic and antiseptic action. What they do? They protect from the external irritation and reduce cellular permeability and hence its local styptic and antiseptic action is carried out. Astringents are normally used in much diluted and they are used topically. Topically means on the skin. They are used or external use. Used topically to clean the face and prevent acne breakouts. As you must have seen that there are initially in the specifically in the previous days after getting the shave, what the boys do, they apply जिसको बोलते हैं फिटकरी लगाते हैं चेहरे पे. आप शेव करने के बाद कहीं को कट लग जाए या कुछ और हो जाए तो फिटकरी लगाते हैं या फिर if there are so many pimples, so they are used to clean the face and prevent the acne, that is the pimples चेहरे पे हो जाते हैं. They are used to stop bleeding. अगर कट लग जाता है कहीं पर भी, ये तो शेविंग एग्जांपल एक बताइए. Somewhere also if there is a cut, they can stop bleeding and relieve the discomfort and itching of the insect bites. कई बार ऐसा होता है कि एकदम से कोई इंसेक्ट काट गया, तो वहां पर भी अगर आप इसको लगा देते हो तो that will give you relief from the problem that you are suffering, that is known as discomfort and itching because of that particular insect bite. Now coming to the mechanism of action, how these drugs, how these antimicrobials do their action, like protein precipitants, how they are the astringent, how they carry out their work. The transition metal cations have protein precipitation action, and if a very dilute solution of such metal cation is used over a tissue, a mere surface action specially leading to shrinkage or firming up of the skin takes place, and this is called as the astringent action. क्या होता है? The transition metal cations which are present, they have protein they precipitate the proteins. अब थोड़ी देर के लिए क्या होगा, if a dilute solution is applied, तो the and if it is having that type of metal cation, and if it is applied over a tissue, what will happen? A mere surface action leading to that particular part will be shrunken, that is known as shrinkage, or furrowing of the skin will take place, and this particular type of action is known as the astringent action. The metal wound form complex, that is the complex which is formed between the wound, जिसको हम जख्म बोलते हैं या जो भी घाव है, the metal complex with various polar groups present on the proteins or an enzyme. दोबारा बताती हूँ, the metal would form complex with various polar groups which are present on the protein or an enzyme. This complexation of important functional groups at the action site of protein, they cause a drastic change in the properties of the proteins. I repeat, the complexation of important functional groups at the site of protein, it causes a drastic change in the properties of the protein because of the formation of that particular bond. So it hardens the epidermis. Epidermis क्या है? तो स्किन की लेयर है, क्योंकि हम टॉपिकल यूज कर रहे हैं इसको. So it hardens the epidermis and creates a barrier against the infection. Okay, barrier means रोक देता है उसको. Here you can see this is the polar functional group. This one, this is the structure of the protein and precipitation by blocking polar groups. अब ये जो polar groups है, they are blocked, so it will be precipitated and further infection will be, or the further growth of the bacteria will be stopped. Now I will be taking up some of the antimicrobial agents one by one. The very first that comes under this category is the potassium permanganate. Its other name is that molecular formula is KMNO4. That is composed of potassium, manganese, and oxygen. Its molecular weight is 158.03. The synonym or the other name that is used is the permanganic acid. Sometimes this question comes in the exam that what is permanganic acid? It may be as an objective type, or they may be asking for the what is the use of permanganic acid as antimicrobials. So do not get confused. This is another name for potassium permanganate. अक्सर बच्चे इसके स्पेलिंग भी गलत कर देते हैं, मैग्नेट लिख देते हैं, बट द स्पेलिंग्स आर PERMANGANATE. So the standards it contains, it should not contain less than 99% and not more than 100.5% of KMNO4. That is potassium permanganate. Coming to the methods of preparation. So potassium permanganate, it is prepared by mixing of a solution of potassium hydroxide with powdered manganese dioxide and potassium chlorate. Here you can see this is 6 moles of KOH, that is potassium hydroxide, reacts with 3 moles of manganese dioxide, that is MnO2, plus 1 mole of potassium chlorate, that is KClO3. It will lead to the formation of 3K2MnO4 plus KCl plus 3H2O. अगेन अब ये जो K2MnO4 बना है, हमें तो K2MnO4 नहीं चाहिए, हमें KMnO4 चाहिए. So by passing chlorine gas, that is Cl2, through potassium manganate solution, this is the potassium manganate solution, it will lead to the formation of potassium permanganate and liberation of formation of 6 potassium chloride moles. When carbon dioxide is passed in place of chlorine, oxidation can be carried out. Either one is that the chlorine is added, the other part is that when carbon dioxide is passed in place of chlorine gas, then 2/3 of the manganate gets converted to potassium permanganate. 100% conversion तो नहीं हो रहा, but यहाँ पर क्या होगा, there will be, see you can see from this equation, 3 moles of K2MnO4, that is potassium manganate, plus 2 carbon dioxide, 2 moles of carbon dioxide to give 2 KMnO4 plus MnO2 plus 2 moles of K2CO3, that is potassium carbonate. You can see this. These are very, very shining crystals, dark purple in color, and you can carry out one sort of you see the reaction that these potassium permanganate, what it does, if a pinch of or the minimum amount of potassium, apparently it is very very dark purple in color, but if you put a pinch of this in water, you will get a magenta colored solution, और ये disinfection के बहुत काम आता है. Then properties. What are the properties of potassium permanganate? It occurs in the form of dark purple prismatic crystals with metallic luster, as I have already told you. It is odorless and high melting point. जब आप इसको स्मेल करते हैं तो there is no odor of itself. It decomposes at a high temperature, that is 2 KMnO4, which it will decompose to potassium manganate, manganese dioxide and oxygen. It is a powerful oxidizing agent. This potassium permanganate, it is a powerful oxidizing agent. When hydrochloric acid is added to the solution of potassium permanganate, chlorine gas is liberated. It can be seen with the following equation, like the reaction of KMnO4 with hydrochloric acid, that is HCl, it will give rise to potassium chloride, manganese chloride, water and chlorine. So when hydrochloric acid is added to the solution, there will be liberation of chlorine gas. Now coming to the assay, that how it can be assayed, कैसे इसका आप पता लगाते हैं कि कितनी मात्रा में ये प्रेजेंट है, ये कैसे इसकी assay techniques हैं. This assay is based upon the iodometric type of redox titration. It is based upon the iodometric type of redox titration. What we do, the procedure, that is 0.3 grams or 300 milligram of the sample or the substance, it is dissolved in 100 ml of water. फिर क्या करेंगे उसके बाद, टेक दिस 20 ml of this solution, जो आपने 0.3 ग्राम को 100 ml में डिसॉल्व किया है, then take 20 ml of this solution and add 1 gram of potassium iodide and 10 ml of 2 normal hydrochloric acid and titrate the liberated iodine. इसे iodine जो जनरेटर भी रिएक्शन में देखते हैं, अभी आपको बताती हूँ, and titrate the liberated iodine with 0.1 molar Na2S2O3 using starch solution as an indicator. अब इसमें क्या होगा, स्टार्च को आप इंडिकेटर यूज कर रहे हो, ठीक है, सोडियम थायोसल्फेट आपने इसके लिए यूज किया, देन सी द रिएक्शन. इफ वी फॉरगेट अबाउट द बैलेंसिंग ऑफ द इक्वेशन, इसमें लिखा है सामने आपके मोल्स हैं कि 2 moles of KMnO4 with potassium iodide, when potassium iodide will be added in the presence of H2SO4, what will happen? It will lead to the formation of K2SO4, then MnSO4, iodine and 8 moles of water. So each 1 ml of 0.1 molar sodium thiosulfate is equivalent to 0.003160 gram of the potassium permanganate. मैं एक बार now coming to next slide, what are the various types of identification test? How it can be identified, whether physical appearance है तो ठीक है, but फिर भी if you have to identify the compound whether it is present or not, these are known as the qualitative tests. So identification test comes under the qualitative, whether it is present or not. So it gets decomposed on heating. A black residue is obtained with evolution of oxygen gas. I am repeating, it gets decomposed on heating. A black, जैसे कितना dark purple color का ये compound है, very shining crystal, and if you heat it, what will happen? It will be converted into a black residue with evolution of oxygen gas. The residue gives potassium hydroxide when water is added. The residue, that is the black residue, gives potassium hydroxide when water is added into it. The resulting solution gives characteristic test of potassium ion. तो जो भी potassium ion के लिए टेस्ट है, वो जब आप इसका करते हो तो it will give a positive test for that. Next जो identification test है इसके लिए, that is a solution of KMnO4 is acidified with sulfuric acid. A solution of potassium permanganate is acidified with sulfuric acid, जैसे आप sulfuric acid डालते हो, and then then it is heated to 70 degree centigrade. क्या करेंगे जब हीट करोगे आप 70 डिग्री पे? इट गेट्स डीकलराइज्ड बाय द सॉल्यूशन ऑफ हाइड्रोजन peroxide. I am repeating these identification tests. Number one, when you heat it, a black residue will be left or obtained with the evolution of oxygen gas. अब जैसे ऑक्सीजन गैस रिलीज होगी जो ब्लैक रेजिड्यू बना है, that residue it will give potassium hydroxide when it will be reacted with the water or when water will be added to that residue. The resulting solution that will give characteristic test for the potassium ion. And the second test is that when potassium permanganate it is acidified with sulfuric acid and then that solution is heated to 70 degrees centigrade. It gets decolorized by the solution of hydrogen peroxide, that is H2O2. Now coming to the uses. What are the uses of potassium permanganate? It is a topical anti-infective. As I have already, it should not be ingested by the body, by the person, but it has to be applied topically only. Its solution is used as an antiseptic in mouthwash and for cleaning of ulcers. Mouthwash, what is the meaning of mouthwash? It is used as if there is some problem in the mouth, in your oral cavity, then it has to be, the solution of this has to be taken in mouth just, but under any circumstances this should not be ingested. So it can be used as a mouthwash and for cleaning of various types of ulcers. कई बार मुंह में छाले भी हो जाते हैं, so it can be used for cleaning of those ulcers. Because of its oxidizing property, it is used as an antidote in many barbiturates, alkaloids, etc. Yesterday also I told you about that what is antidote in my previous lecture. Antidotes, if due to one reason or the other there is a poisoning because of some overdose of the drug or because of any other reason, then that particular poison or that particular dose of the drug or that particular drug can be you see its effect can be counteracted. So that is the antidote. So it can be used as an antidote for in many of the barbiturates or alkaloids. Its solution is used in bath for eczema and acute dermatosis patients. एक्जिमा जो स्किन इन्फेक्शन होती हैं जहाँ पर, तो अगर बाथिंग वाटर में नहाते टाइम अगर आप थोड़ा सा इसका सोल्यूशन यूज करते हैं तो इट विल डेफिनेटली हेल्प यू इन द एक्जिमा, दाद खाज खुजली जिसको बोलते हैं, तो उसके केस में इससे काफी निजात मिल सकती है. एंड एक्यूट डर्मेटोसिस, जिनको एक्यूट बहुत सीवियर skin infection hai, in those patients it can be helped. It is commonly used as an antiseptic in veterinary practices. Not only the human beings, they can be used for the problem of these animals or veterinary practices. It is used in the treatment of urethritis because as I told you, it can be used topically only. So it is used in the treatment of urethritis. I told you in my, you must be knowing this also that itis word means there is some inflammation. So if there is inflammation in the urethra, then it can be treated with the help of potassium permanganate solution. Storage. It should be stored in a well closed container and kept in a cool place, because under high temperature it can change its form, as well as if it is not well closed, the container is not well closed, then it can lead to the what you call, it can gain moisture and the properties or the physical properties of it can be changed. Then coming to our next compound, that is hydrogen peroxide, and its formula is H2O2. Here you can see how it is attached. The chemical formula, it is in the gas form, the arrangement of the atoms in the gas form and in the solid phase, gas phase and solid phase. How they are arranged? See, you can see the bond angle that changes. This H, O and H. Here the bond length is 147.4 in the gaseous phase. It is more because in the gaseous phase they are apart. These molecules or the atoms are apart. So it is 147.4. Here it is 145.8. PM is picometer. Then OH, the difference, it is 95. Here in the solid phase it is 98. This bond angle, see bond angle between these two bonds, it is 101.9, and here the bond angle is 94.8. It's less, they're closely. And here the bond angle is 115.5 degree, and here it is only 90.2 degree. So this is the basically difference between the gaseous phase as well as the solid phase. Now coming to its molecule formula, as you all know, it is H2O2 HOOH. Molecular weight, it is 34.01. Hydrogen peroxide, it is a non-polar molecule, a non-planar molecule with twisted geometry. So this is the geometrical arrangement that I am talking about. So it's a non-planar. It does not lie in one plane. It is a non-planar molecule with twisted symmetry. Although the oxygen-oxygen bond is single bond, the molecule has a relatively high rotational barrier, so they cannot rotate freely. The molecular structure of gaseous and crystalline H2O2, that is hydrogen peroxide, they are significantly different. Again, I am telling you, the molecular structure of gaseous and crystalline H2O2, they are significantly different. This difference is attributed to the effect of hydrogen bonding. See, this change in the symmetry, it is because of the change in the hydrogen bonding which is absent in the gaseous phase. Gaseous phase में hydrogen bonding नहीं होगा as they are wide apart. So, but in case of a solid phase or the crystal structure, they are having hydrogen bonding. Then coming to the standards, it is an aqueous solution of hydrogen peroxide. See, aqueous solution मतलब क्या कि it will be anything where it is written that aqueous solution, so it will be dissolved in water. It will be weight by volume, volume by volume. As I already told you, if it is a solid, then so it is an aqueous solution of hydrogen peroxide, that is H2O2, and it contains not less than 6% weight by volume of hydrogen peroxide. 6% means if it is the word is weight by volume, that means 6 gram in 100 ml. If I am talking 6% volume by volume, then it means 6 ml in 100 ml. And if I am talking about 6% weight by weight, that means 6 gram will be mixed in 100 gram of particular where it is getting added. Then coming to its method of preparation, it is prepared by the action of sulfuric acid on barium peroxide. See, it is barium peroxide, it is H2SO4, so it will be added to that and it will lead to the formation of BaSO4, that is barium sulfate, and H2O2, that is hydrogen peroxide. Insoluble barium sulfate is filtered off. You see, it will be insoluble and it will precipitate as a solid. So it will be filtered off. Yield is less, that is 15 to 20%. Hydrogen peroxide solution, it may be hydrogen peroxide solution may be prepared by the reaction of barium peroxide with phosphoric acid. Barium oxide BaO2 plus H3PO4, that is what? This is phosphoric acid. कल पढ़ा था ना हमने phosphoric acid और orthophosphoric acid. It will give rise to Ba3PO4 whole twice, okay, and H2O2. Our primary concern is the formation of H2O2 because we are studying about its synthesis. Then it can also be prepared by treating sodium peroxide with sulfuric acid, Na2O2 plus H2SO4, sodium sulfate and H2O2, that is hydrogen peroxide. Most of the hydrogen peroxide nowadays it is prepared by electrolysis. Electrolysis means the reaction where we are using two types of electrodes, that is one is cathode and another is anode. So 2H2SO4, it will be electrolyzed to yield 2HSO4, that is परसल्फेट आयन एंड हाइड्रोजन आयन 2H प्लस. तो एट कैथोड क्या होगा 2H प्लस. जो टू हाइड्रोजन आयंस है with the help with they will have two electrons to give H2 that will be treated as a gas, and at a node it will be परसल्फेट आयन. हाइड्रोजन सल्फेट आयन भी बोलते हैं इसको. H2S2O8 and 2 electrons. Then this is known as this H2S2O8. What is this? This is peroxide disulfuric acid. It is then distilled off under vacuum with water. So H2S2O8 plus 2H2O, it will give rise to H2SO का sulfuric acid बन जाएगा and H2O2. Now coming to its physical properties. The hydrogen peroxide solution is clear, colorless, liquid and odorless. बिल्कुल clear. अगर ग्लास पे पड़ा है ग्लास बॉटल में, ग्लास कंटेनर में, it will be difficult to identify whether it is water or it is hydrogen peroxide. So it is a clear colorless liquid and odorless. Its taste is slightly acidic. Okay, थोड़ी बहुत irritation cause करता है ये, and it is a strong oxidizing agent and is miscible with water. It is a strong oxidizing agent and miscible with water. Coming to its chemical properties, pure hydrogen peroxide decomposes slowly. Okay, the pure hydrogen peroxide, it decomposes slowly, but when heated at 100 degrees centigrade, it liberates oxygen. It will be decomposed. You can see the reaction. H2O2, it will be decomposed at 100 degrees centigrade to water and oxygen. That will be liberated as oxygen gas. The decomposition of hydrogen peroxide is promoted by catalysts, copper, iron, etc. While small quantity of sulfuric acid, phosphoric acid and alcohol, they retard the decomposition of hydrogen peroxide. I am repeating my this statement that pure hydrogen peroxide itself, it decomposes slowly, but when it will be heated at 100 degrees centigrade, it liberates oxygen like H2O2 to give 2H2O as well as oxygen. The decomposition of hydrogen peroxide, it is promoted by catalyst copper, iron, but small quantity of sulfuric acid, phosphoric acid and alcohol, they retard the decomposition of hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide is a strong oxidizing agent and it react with many organic materials like PbS, that is lead sulfide, with H2O2, it will lead to formation of PbSO4, that is lead sulfate and water molecules. Lead sulfide with reaction with H2O2, it will lead to formation of lead sulfate and water molecule. Then with potassium iodide, the hydrogen peroxide gives rise to potassium hydroxide with liberation of iodine. It has got some reduction properties, like hydrogen peroxide behaves as reducing agent. Yes, you have heard correctly. It can act as an oxidizing agent, strong oxidizing agent, and the hydrogen peroxide behaves as a reducing agent also towards other oxidizing agent. अपने आप में तो ये ऑक्सीडाइजिंग एजेंट का काम करता है, लेकिन दूसरे अगर स्ट्रॉन्गर या दूसरे ऑक्सीडाइजिंग एजेंट्स अगर इसके साथ प्रेजेंट है तो इट विल एक्ट एज अ reducing agent. So Ag2O, that is silver oxide, on reaction with the H2O2, it will give rise to silver, water and oxygen. With KMnO4, sulfuric acid and H2O2, it will give rise to potassium sulfate, manganese sulfate, water and oxygen. So here it is working as a reducing agent. Coming to the identification test, when made alkaline and heated, when it is made alkaline, when its pH is made alkaline and heated, it is decomposed It is decomposed with effervescence of oxygen. Effervescence, एकदम से झाग निकलना, एकदम से strong reaction होता है ना, that is known as effervescence. So when it is made alkaline and when it is heated, it is decomposed with effervescence of oxygen. एकदम से लगता है कि गैस जनरेट हो रही है, and that effervescence is because of oxygen. So 1 drop of potassium hydrogen peroxide, add 20 ml of water, 1 drop of potassium chromate, and 2 ml of solvent ether and shake. I am repeating, we are discussing about the identification tests. So to 1 drop of hydrogen peroxide, add 20 ml of water, 1 drop of potassium chromate, and 2 ml of solvent ether. And when you shake it, ether layer becomes blue. जो ईथर की लेयर होती है एकदम से ब्लू कलर की हो जाती है. और पहला क्या है? When it is made alkaline and heated, it is decomposed with effervescence of oxygen. Coming to the assay is based upon volumetric titration method. Assay is based upon volumetric titration method. क्या करते हैं इसमें? हाइड्रोजन पेरोक्साइड and potassium permanganate. Hydrogen peroxide and potassium permanganate both are oxidizing agents, ठीक, and reduce each other. वो एक दूसरे को ही reduce करने पे लगे रहते हैं. Reduce each other with evolution of gaseous oxygen. With the evolution of gaseous oxygen. Hydrogen peroxide reduces KMnO4 solution. Hydrogen peroxide hydrogen peroxide reduces potassium permanganate solution and causes its decoloration or decolorization. पर्पल कलर का होता है तो इसका सोल्यूशन बना होगा मेजेंटा, डार्क पर्पल कलर बताया मैंने. When it will be reacted with potassium hydrogen peroxide, it will be reduced by hydrogen peroxide and it will lead to the decolorization. उसका कलर गायब हो जाएगा. At the end point, excess drops of KMnO4 give pink color. ठीक है, एंड पॉइंट पे अगर आप एक्सेसिव KMnO4 लेते हो, it gives pink color. Here, KMnO4 itself act as a indicator. It is a self indicator. I will again repeat the procedure. The hydrogen peroxide and potassium permanganate, they are both oxidizing agents and they reduce each other with evolution of gaseous oxygen. Hydrogen peroxide reduces KMnO4 solution and causes its decolorization. Decolorize हो गया. फिर at the end point, excess drops of KMnO4, they give pink color. That means here KMnO4 itself acts as an indicator. To 25 ml of the solution, KMnO4 का जो H2O2 solution है, to 25 ml of the solution ये जो बना आपका, add 10 ml of 5 normal H2SO4. That is 10 ml of 5 normal sulfuric acid. Then the whole content is titrated with 0.1 normal KMnO4. 0.1 normal KMnO4 आप बना लेंगे until the pink color is obtained. I repeat, 25 ml of the H2O2 solution, add 10 ml of 5 normal H2SO4, that is sulfuric acid. Then the whole content is titrated with 0.1 normal KMnO4 solution until the pink color is obtained. Each 1 ml of 0.1 normal KMnO4 is equivalent to 0.001701 gram of H2O2. See the reaction. KMnO4 plus sulfuric acid plus hydrogen peroxide, it will lead to potassium sulfate, water, oxygen and manganese sulfate. Okay. Then uses. It is a strong antiseptic and destroys all the pathogenic bacteria. 6% solution of hydrogen peroxide is used as disinfectant. 6% solution of hydrogen peroxide is used as disinfectant. Its action is due to quick release of oxygen. Its action is due to quick release of oxygen from it when it is applied to the tissues. तो जैसे ये tissues पे जाता है एकदम से oxygen release होती है and bacteria are killed. It is also used for cleaning of cuts and wounds. It is also used for cleaning of cuts and wounds. जैसे जख्म हो गए, कोई कट लग गया तो it is used to clean them. Okay. It is also used for removing ear wax. जो कानों के अंदर wax जमा हो जाती है excessively, थोड़ी बहुत तो जरूरत की है, but excessively अगर हो जाए तो it is used to remove that ear wax. It is an effective antidote for phosphorus and cyanide poisoning. It is an effective antidote for अगर phosphorus की या cyanide की poisoning हो जाए तो it can be used as an antidote for that. Its 1.6% solution is used as deodorant, gargles and mouthwash. ठीक है, तो अगर जैसे फाउल स्मेल आती है मुंह में से, कभी दांतों में इंफेक्शन है या कुछ भी अगर है, कईयों के मुखवास में से काफी स्मेल आती है मुख में से, तो इट कैन बी यूज्ड एज इट कैन बी यूज्ड फॉर गार्गल्स, फॉर माउथ वॉश. अगर गले में इंफेक्शन होगा तो उसको भी बड़े अच्छे से क्लियर कर देता है, बट फिर वही बात है कि एक्सटर्नल यूज के लिए अंदर नहीं जाना चाहिए. तो गार्गल्स में क्या करते हो आप, गरारे करते हो, उसके बाद पानी को बाहर ही फेंकते हो, पीते तो है नहीं. उसी तरीके से अगर 1.6% सोल्यूशन यानी कि 1.6 ml ऑफ H2O2 in 100 ml of water अगर आप इसको बनाते हो तो it can be used as a gargles, deodorant या फिर mouthwash. It is used for bleaching the hair. जैसे गर्ल्स ब्लीचिंग एजेंट यूज ब्लीचिंग करते हैं, गर्ल्स बॉयज सभी करते हैं अभी तो वो ब्लीचिंग के लिए इसको यूज किया जाता है. जो वो सोल्यूशन आता है उसमें अमोनिया भी रहता है, हाइड्रोजन पेरोक्साइड H2O2 भी यूज होता है, तो इट इज यूज फॉर ब्लीचिंग द हेयर. Then next is the chlorinated lime. Chlorinated lime का जो formula है that is CaOCl2, or it can also be written as CaOCl then Cl. Its molecular weight, it is 136.98. Its synonyms are bleaching powder or chloride of lime. It is also known as bleaching powder या फिर chloride of lime. It's a standard. The chlorinated lime should contain not less than 30% weight by weight of available chlorine. The chlorinated lime should contain not less than 30% weight by weight of available chlorine. The method of preparation, it is prepared by the action of chlorine on calcium hydroxide. Calcium hydroxide is spread on the shelves of a suitable container. The chlorine gas is introduced at the top of the chamber. C. Calcium hydroxide. It is prepared by action of chlorine gas, chlorine in the form of gas on calcium hydroxide. Calcium hydroxide को क्या करते हैं, जो जिस भी suitable container में आप उसको ले रहे हो, it is spread on the shelves of that suitable container. फिर उसके बाद the chlorine gas is introduced from the top of the chamber and then the reaction takes place as CaOH twice plus Cl2 to give CaOCl2 plus H2O. 12 से 24 घंटे लगते हैं इस पूरी प्रोसेस को. This process takes about 12 to 24 hours. What are the properties? It is a dull white color with characteristic odor होती है, इसकी बड़ी pungent smell होती है, दूर पता चल जाता है एकदम से आपको कि हाँ कुछ है ये. तो इसकी जो characteristic odor है that is it's a particular property. When exposed to air, it absorbs moisture and gradually decomposed. When exposed to air, ऐसे अगर आप खुला को छोड़ देते हो तो it absorbs moisture and gradually it is decomposed. It is slightly acidic in water and alcohol. जब आप इसको करोगे solution इसका अगर आप बनाते हो and you put pH paper on that, it is slightly acidic. When bleaching powder is put in water, Hypochlorite goes out in solution because of this bleaching and oxidizing property. CaOCl2 plus carbon dioxide plus water, it will give rise to calcium carbonate, calcium chloride, and HOCl. This HOCl is called as hypochlorite. Now coming to its identification test, when the sample is treated with concentrated hydrochloric acid, the chlorine gas is evolved. So you can identify after treating it with concentrated hydrochloric acid, the chlorine gas will be evolved. Coming to the assay, its assay is based upon redox titration, that is oxidation reduction reaction दोनों ही होंगे इसमें. The redox titration method, chlorinated lime, it liberates the available chlorine as chlorine gas by the action of acid. Chlorinated lime liberates the available chlorine as chlorine gas by the action of acid. Then this free chlorine is allowed to react with potassium iodide to liberate iodine. Then this free chlorine is allowed to react with Ki, that is potassium iodide, to liberate iodine. The quantity of liberated iodine is then estimated. The quantity of liberated iodine is then estimated by titration with 0.1 normal sodium thiosulfate, Na2S2O3. C. Calcium CaOCl2 plus acetic acid, it will give rise to CaCH3CO twice H2O plus chlorine. Chlorine gas is liberated. अब ये जो chlorine gas है, it will be made to react with potassium iodide and iodine will be liberated. Then upon reaction of this iodine with sodium thiosulfate, it will give rise to formation of sodium iodide Na2S4O6. Okay. Then coming to the procedure. Take 4 grams of chlorinated lime with small quantity of water and transfer it to 1 liter flask. 4 grams of chlorinated lime with small quantity of water and transfer it to the 1 liter flask, that is 1000 ml volumetric flask, and made the volume up to the mark. Then measure 100 ml of this suspension. जो आपके पास कंपाउंड बन के आया suspension, take 100 ml of this suspension and transfer it to another flask. Add 3 grams of potassium iodide, acidify with 5 ml acetic acid, acidify with 5 ml of acetic acid. The liberated iodine is titrated against the liberated iodine is titrated against 0.1 normal sodium thiosulfate using starch solution as indicator. Now each 1 ml of 0.1 normal sodium thiosulfate is equivalent to 0.003545 gram of available chlorine that is present, that is liberated. Now coming to the test for purity. So it has been tested for its stability by heating at 100 degrees centigrade for 2 hours. It must not lose more than 3% weight by weight of available chlorine. I am repeating, for the stability test, it is heated at 100 degrees centigrade for 2 hours. It must not lose more than 3% weight by weight of available chlorine. Now coming to uses. The chlorinated lime that has the bactericidal action. As I already told you, what is bactericidal? Cidal means to kill. So it has the capacity to kill the bacteria. It is used as disinfectants in the wound. जो हमारे घाव हो जाते हैं, जो जख्म हो जाते हैं, उसके डिसइंफेक्शन के लिए काम आता है. So it is used as the disinfectant in the wounds. It is used as cleansing agent for water closets, that is toilets, drains, and effluents. Effluents, the effluents which come from the various type of industries. So it is used to cleansing of those particular areas like water closets, drains, and effluents. It is also used as an ingredient in the preparation of detergent. It is also used as ingredient in the preparation of detergents. It is powerful bleaching agent and is used in decolorizing most of the dyes. It's a powerful bleaching agent and used in decolorizing most of the dyes. Now coming to the next part or next agent, antimicrobial agent, that is iodine. As you all know, in the periodic table you must have in the second last period there is the group that is composed of halogens. So the very first halogen is fluorine, then coming down chlorine, bromine, and iodine. This, although this is a halogen, but it has got comparatively lesser or quite lesser electronegativity as compared to fluorine. But here we are discussing about not I itself, we are discussing about I2, that is iodine. Its molecular weight is 126.9. It contains, as per standards, it contains not less than 99.5% and not more than 100.5% of iodine. The methods of preparation: number one, from seaweeds. From seaweeds. Iodine is the form of iodide. Iodine in the form of iodide is present in seaweeds such as Laminaria digitata and Fucus vesiculosus. ये जो दो seaweeds है, they are बहुत बड़ी बड़ी इनके स्ट्रक्चर जब आप देखो तो they are very big. They are Laminaria digitata and Fucus vesiculosus. These seaweeds are dried and burned. Whenever you take them out from the sea, समुद्र से जब उसको बाहर निकालोगे, they are dried completely and they are burned. Their ash, which is also called kelp, जो उनकी राख बचती है ना, that is known as kelp. It is extracted with water. This extract is purified to remove chlorides, sulfates, sulfides, and thiosulfates. बहुत सारी चीजें और भी प्रेजेंट हो सकती है ना, बट अपने को तो सिर्फ आयोडीन चाहिए. So what we will do? This is purified to remove chlorides, sulfates, sulfides, and thiosulfates. The purified extract is treated with exact amount of chlorine for the precipitation of iodine. So it is, the reaction is like sodium iodide NaI plus Cl2. It will be treated with chlorine. So what will happen? The sodium will form salt with chlorine and pure iodine I2 will be obtained. From chili saltpeter. Crude chili saltpeter which is found in Chile. Chile is the area which is in South America. So it is obtained from there. That is why it's named as chili saltpeter. So the crude chili saltpeter which is found in Chile contains sodium nitrate, that is NaNO3, and sodium iodate, NaIO3. During its crystallization, sodium sulfate separate out as crystals, whereas sodium iodate remains in mother liquor. Iodine is obtained by treating mother liquor with sodium hydrogen sulfide. See the reaction. NaIO3 plus NaHSO3, it will lead to formation of sodium sulfate, NaHSO4 plus iodine plus water. So from here iodine can be obtained. Okay? We are not concerned about the sodium hydrogen sulfide or whatever. We are concerned about iodine that will be obtained. Now coming to its properties. Iodine occurs as a bluish black crystals with metallic luster. बहुत shining luster रहती है इसकी. ब्लूइश ब्लैक, इतना डार्क कलर रहता है, समझ नहीं आता नीले रंग का कि काला रंग है. इट इज ब्लूइश black color crystals with metallic luster. It possesses a different irritating odor and bitterly pungent in taste. एक बड़ी peculiar type की इसकी irritating odor रहती है iodine की. It is volatile at room temperature and its vapor attack both cork and rubber. जिस कंटेनर में ये प्रेजेंट है ना, उस पर आपने इसको बंद करके रखा है, चाहे कॉर्क लगाया चाहे रबर लगाया, तो इट इज क्वाइट वॉलेटाइल. It is slightly soluble in water but insoluble in alcohol, ether and chloroform. It is slightly soluble in water but insoluble in alcohol, ether, chloroform. At high temperature, the density of iodine decreases as it dissociates. तो किस पे डिसोसिएट करेगा? रिवर्सिबल रिएक्शन है. I2 will be dissociated into 2I minus. That is 2 iodide ions, 2 moles of iodide ions will be obtained. It reacts directly with some non-metals and with the it reacts with some non-metals and with heavy metals like 2Pe plus 3I2 to give 2Pi3, FeI2 to give FeI2. Okay. Identification tests. Coming to its identification test, when small amount of sample is ignited in the test tube. When a small amount of sample it is ignited in the test tube, it gives violet color vapors. थोड़ा सा सैंपल अगर आप टेस्ट ट्यूब में करते हैं तो बिल्कुल वायलेट कलर के वेपर्स यूज होते हैं, which condense at the internal surface of the test tube. Add a little sample of the solution of potassium iodide. अच्छा, ये जो प्रॉपर्टी आइडेंटिफिकेशन टेस्ट है ना, ये हमारे लिए और बहुत काम आती है. When you carry out thin layer chromatography, तो थिन लेयर क्रोमेटोग्राफी को में जो स्पॉट आप लगाते हो, ये आप लोग पढ़ोगे अपने अगले सेमेस्टर में, तो उसमें क्या होता है कि जो स्पॉट आपके प्रोडक्ट का रिएक्शन का बना है, वो इसकी हेल्प से यू गेट द डार्क टाइप ऑफ स्पॉट्स, क्योंकि वेपर्स की फॉर्म में ही उड़ता है ना, तो बहुत काम आता है, ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है ये हमारे लिए. Add a little sample in the solution of potassium iodide and starch. A deep blue color is produced which disappear on heating but reappear on cooling. I am repeating. Add a little sample of the solution in potassium solution in the add a little sample in the solution of potassium iodide and starch. Potassium iodide starch का आपने solution बनाया, थोड़ा सा इसका sample डाला, deep blue color is produced, बिल्कुल dark blue color, which disappear on heating. जैसे आप उसको गर्म करोगे डिसअपियर हो जाएगा, और वापस अगर आप ठंडा करोगे तो वापस आ जाएगा जो ब्लू कलर है. These are two identification tests. Now coming to assay. Its assay is based upon iodometric titration. Iodine involved है, तो that contains iodometric titration. Iodine is weighed in iodine flask containing 1 gram of potassium iodide of 2 molar acetic acid and 50 ml of water. दोबारा रिपीट कर रही हूँ मैं. आयोडीन इज वेड इन आयोडीन फ्लास्क. आयोडीन फ्लास्क लैब में अवेलेबल रहती है. कंटेनिंग 1 gram of potassium iodide ऑलरेडी प्रेजेंट है, of 2 molar acetic acid and 50 ml water. Titrate it with 0.01 normal sodium thiosulfate using starch as indicator. Sodium thiosulfate plus iodine to give NaI plus Na2S4O6. Each ml of 0.1 molar sodium thiosulfate is equivalent to 0.01263 gram of iodine. Now, for its purity, how it can be tested? The sample is tested for the presence of impurity like chloride, bromide, cyanide, and non-volatile material. So they have to be tested for that. Incompatibility, it is incompatible with alkalis and alkali carbonates. So it is incompatible with that. What? Iodine. Then uses. It is topical, anti-infective and has a powerful bactericidal action. Topical anti-infective है and a bactericidal in action. Very powerful bactericidal. It is also used as local germicide. That is, as I have already told you, cidal means to kill. So, for local use, it is used to kill various type of germs. Iodine ointment is generally used as counter irritant and disinfectant. It is also available in the form of ointment, so it is used as counter irritant. Irritation है तो उसको counter irritant बोलते हैं and is disinfectant. Iodine is an essential element for human body. It is, we all know that. I will tell you how. Deficiency of iodine, it can lead to the development of goiter. बिकॉज यू नो थायरोक्सिन, थायराइड ग्लैंड के बारे में आपने सुना होगा, तो थायरोक्सिन रिलीज करता है. इट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट हार्मोन एंड इट इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर द ग्रोथ. एंड इफ एट ऑल दिस and it is very much required, you must have heard about, or you can search it otherwise also, that T3 T4 thyroid level कम हो गया, ज़्यादा हो गया, T3 T4, this is because of the amount of iodine that is present. In T2, it is 2 iodines are present in the thyroxine. In T3, 3 iodines are there. T4, 4 iodines are there. You see, if the iodine element is not present in the human body, then this will lead to the disease that is called as hypothyroidism, or it can lead to the development of a goiter, the swelling of this thyroid gland. So, and it is also used as antidote for alkaloidal poisoning. Okay. Then what, there are some other preparations of iodine also, mainly of four types: aqueous iodine solution, weak iodine solution, strong iodine solution, and phenolated iodine solution. Coming to the aqueous iodine solution, it contains aqueous, as the name indicates. Aqueous means where water is involved. Okay, so it contains 5% weight by volume of iodine and 10% weight by volume of potassium iodide in water. 5% iodine रहेगा इसमें, 10% KI रहेगा साथ में. It is transparent brown colored liquid, and this particular smell of iodine वो specific रहती है, that is easily identified. Iodine 50 gram, potassium iodide 100 gram, purified water QS quantity sufficient, we have to make it up to 1000 ml. Then come to the, this was aqueous iodine solution. Then come to the weak iodine solution. It contains 2% weight by volume of iodine and 2.5% weight by volume of potassium iodide in, of course, it is in water. 2% iodine, 2.5% potassium iodide. पिछले में क्या पढ़ा हमने aqueous में? 5% iodine, 10% potassium iodide. Here 2% iodine, 2.5% potassium iodide in water. It is also transparent brown colored liquid. It smells of alcohol. अब यहाँ पर क्या है कि अगर आप अल्कोहल यूज करो, वीक आयोडीन सोल्यूशन है ना, तो हेयर वी कैन यूज अल्कोहल ऑल्सो. और एक्चुअली दिस इज मिक्सचर ऑफ 50% अल्कोहल. व्हाट इज दैट? Iodine is 20 grams, potassium iodide is 25 grams, purified water and alcohol ka mixture, that is 50%, that is 1000 ml. So it will give the particular smell of alcohol. Then comes the strong iodine solution. What is strong iodine solution? As the name indicates, here the contents will be more. जहां पर वीक की बात कर रहे हो 2%, 2.5% है, इसके केस में आपका 10% and 6% है. 10% will be iodine, 6% will be potassium iodide in water. Transparent reddish brown colored liquid है. Okay, it is transparent reddish brown color liquid, and it smells of alcohol. Okay, here also we will get the mixture in the alcohol. Weak iodine, one thing that I wanted to mention in the weak iodine solution, they can be all these either strong or weak solution, they can be acid according to their particular given procedures. Like alcohol content, that in case of weak iodine solution that I already mentioned, it can be 45 to 58%. And the test for identification, they are similar to described under the aqueous iodine solution and assay. The 10 ml of solution of the 10 ml of the solution, that will be diluted with 20 ml of water. 10 ml of solution of iodine with 20 ml of water, it is titrated with 0.1 normal of sodium thiosulfate. 1000 ml of N by 10, that is 0.1 normal sodium thiosulfate, it is equivalent to 1 by 10 iodine, and for each ml of 0.1 normal sodium thiosulfate, it is equivalent to 0.01269 gram of iodine. For potassium iodides, to 10 ml of, I am talking about the assay method, to 10 ml of ml is added 40 ml of water, 16 ml of HCl, and 10 ml of solution of potassium cyanide, and the solution is titrated with 0.01 mole potassium iodide until dark brown solution turns until the dark brown solution turns pale yellow. 5 ml of solution of starch is then added and the titration is continued until the liquid becomes colorless. Okay, until the liquid becomes colorless. Cyanogens is tested by taking 5 ml of the above filtrate and adding it to few drops of sulfate of ferrous sulfate and 1 ml of solution of sodium hydroxide. Warming the solution gently and acidifying with hydrochloric acid. No blue color should be produced. It is non-volatile matter, not more than 0.5% residue on being volatilized on water bath. अगर हम इसकी ऐसे की बात करते हैं तो an accurately weighed amount that is 0.5 gram is dissolved in solution of potassium iodide. Potassium iodide is 1 gram in 5 ml of water, is slightly acidified with dilute acetic acid and titrated with 0.1 normal sodium thiosulfate using starch mucilate as indicator. Because iodine volatilizes, it should be weighed in a stoppered vessel. It should be weighed in a stoppered vessel. The reaction is as follows: Na2S2O3 plus iodine to give Na2S4O6 plus 2NaI. 1 ml of 0.1 normal sodium thiosulfate is equivalent to 0.01269 gram of iodine. Okay, then comes the aqueous iodine solution. It is also known as Lugol's solution. Okay, the composition we have already discussed. The identification test की अगर हम बात करते हैं aqueous iodine की, तो dilute solution gives blue color with the solution of starch. It is a peculiar property. The dilute color gives blue color with solution of starch. The residue left after evaporation of the solution and after ignition, evaporation of iodine yields reactions characteristic of potassium iodide. Okay, assay. The assay is carried out for iodine and potassium iodide. 25 ml of the solution is diluted to ml with water, and this dilute solution is used for the different types of assays. What type of assays? For iodine, the 20 ml of the diluted solution is added 10 ml of water and solution is titrated with N by 10 Na2S2O3 that we have already discussed. The solution after addition of sulfuric acid is decanted. The decanted mother liquor or liquid is treated with manganese dioxide and warmed to collect iodine which distills over. Okay. Alternately, the other method can be the solution containing freely soluble iodides is treated with required proportion of chlorine and the precipitated iodine is collected and purified by sublimation. Strong iodine solution, as I discussed with you, it contains 10% weight by volume of iodine and 6% weight by volume of potassium iodide in water. It is transparent reddish brown colored liquid and it smells of alcohol. Okay, its storage, it should be stored in the under conditions as same as that of the aqueous iodine solution. It is used as an antiseptic. In making all the above these type of solutions, potassium iodide may be replaced by sodium iodide. Till now we have used potassium iodide, but we can also go for sodium iodide. Now coming to the phenolated iodine solution. Phenolated iodine solution, it consists of 15 ml of strong iodine solution, 6 ml of purified phenol in 1000 ml of glycerin. I repeat, it contains 50 ml of strong iodine solution, 6 ml of purified phenol in 1000 ml of glycerin. What are the uses? It is topical antimicrobial agent, disinfection of skin before surgery. Disinfection of the skin before surgery. Dilute solution is used to apply on the wounds on cuts, and it is also amoebicidal in action. Okay, it should be storage. Coming to the storage, it should be stored in a well closed amber colored container with a glass stopper at a cool place. With a glass stopper at a cool place. Now coming to very important part, that is povidone iodine. What is povidone iodine? It is a complex of iodine and povidone. Povidone is a polymer and it is also known as PVP, that is polyvinyl pyrrolidone. Polyvinyl pyrrolidone. So povidone क्या है? Povidone iodine, it is a complex of iodine and povidone, that is a polymer PVP, and iodopovidone. It is an antiseptic and it is used for skin disinfection. It is an antiseptic and it is used for skin disinfection before and after surgery, and on the hands of the healthcare providers. Healthcare providers, they use this type of material that is known as povidone iodine. It may also be used for minor wounds. छोटे मोटे जो जख्म होते हैं, it may be used for minor wounds. It may be applied to the skin as a liquid or a powder. It can be used, it can be applied on the skin as a liquid or a powder. This complex contains from 9% to 12% available iodine. I am repeating, this povidone iodine complex contains 9% to 12% available iodine. It works by releasing iodine, which results in the death of the range of microorganisms. It works by releasing, जो iodine का complex बना है ना, it works by releasing the iodine, which leads to the death of the range of the microorganisms that we are targeting. It belongs to the class of iodophore class of compound. It belongs to the class of iodophore class of compounds. Iodophores are complex of iodine which act as a carrier. Iodophores are the complex of iodine which act as a carrier and liberate iodine wherever it is required. I repeat, iodophores क्या होते हैं? They are the complex of iodine which act as a carrier and liberate iodine wherever it is required. That is solubilizing agents. Physical properties. The complex is yellowish white brown amorphous powder. The complex is yellowish white brown amorphous powder. It is soluble in water and alcohol. Okay. नॉर्मली प्रेजेंट मिल जाता है, ये अपने अपने मोस्टली लोगों ने घरों में रखा होता है इसको. Povidone iodine solution is a transparent liquid having a reddish brown color. Povidone iodine solution is a transparent liquid having a reddish brown color. Its non-irritating effects on tissues. It's non-irritating. आप कभी भी घाव पे लगाओगे ना, कभी भी ये इरिटेशन कॉज नहीं करता. Its non-irritating effects on the tissues, low oral toxicity, its water solubility, and its low iodine vapor pressure makes it superior to iodine solutions. its non-irritating effects on tissues, its low oral toxicity, its water solubility, and its low iodine vapor pressure makes it superior to iodine solutions. I would like to give an example like जब भी कोई बच्चे को चोट लगती है तो जब आप उसके ऊपर डेटॉल या इस तरह की कोई चीज लगाते हो तो बड़ा the small kids they are very much sensitive, so they say नहीं लगाना, but wherever you, and it has happened with me that when we apply this on a cotton swab, if we on the place of the wound or the problem, if you apply it, it does not cause any sort of irritation. So kids are very they allow you to apply this thing very easily on the wounds अगर उनको कहीं पर चोट लग गई है तो. Povidone iodine solutions are non-staining and can be washed clear from the skin and clothing. अगर इसका दाग लग भी जाता तो ये निकल जाता है बड़े आराम से. वैसे अगर आयोडीन का कोई निशान लग जाए तो नहीं जाता इजीली. Then again I will come to the Lugol solution. इसके भी मैंने आपसे बात करी थी. Lugol iodine, it was first made in 1829 by the French physician Jean Lugol. It is aqueous iodine solution. It is another name that is given to aqueous iodine solution. क्या है ये? Lugol iodine was the first made in 1829 by French physician Jean Lugol. It is on the World Health Organization list of essential medicines. WHO की जो list of essential medicines है ना, उस पे इसका नाम indicated है. The most effective and safe medicines needed in health system. The most effective and safe medicine needed in health system. Lugol's iodine is a liquid made up of 2 parts of potassium iodide for every 1 part elemental iodine. It is made up of 2 parts of potassium iodide for every 1 part elemental iodine, that is I2 in water. Lugol solution is available as a generic medication and over the counter. Over the counter OTC क्या होता है? जो easily without any prescription आप ले लेते हो जाके. It is available as generic medication and over the counter OTC. Lugol's iodine is also known as aqueous iodine and strong iodine solution. Uses: it is used to treat thyrotoxicosis prior to surgery. Thyrotoxicosis, that is toxicity because of the this thyroid gland before the surgery, this is used to treat that. It helps to protect the thyroid gland from harmful effects of radioactive iodine and to treat iodine deficiency. जैसे अभी थोड़ी देर पहले आपको बताया कि आयोडीन की क्या यूजेस है. ठीक है, थायराइड ग्लैंड के लिए, थायराइड हार्मोन की प्रॉपर वर्किंग के लिए इट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. सो it helps to protect the thyroid gland from harmful effect of radioactive iodine. Radioactive isotope of iodine is available, so it is used to protect thyroid gland from harmful effect of radioactive iodine and to treat iodine deficiency. When applied to the cervix, it is used in screening for cervical cancer. So it is used to screen the cervical cancer when it is applied to the cervix. It is used as a disinfectant and it may be applied to small wounds such as needle stick injury. Needle stick injury, छोटी सी जो सुई जैसी इंजरी है ना, सुई से जो लगती है, that can be it can be applied there as a disinfectant. कहीं आगे infection further ना हो जाए. A small amount may also be used for emergency disinfection of the drinking water. एकदम इमरजेंसी होगी कि नहीं, तुरंत करना ही करना है आपको और कोई आपके पास चारा नहीं है, तो very small amount of this can be used for disinfecting the water. Then coming to potassium iodide. Potassium iodide is a chemical compound or medication and a dietary supplement. ठीक है, potassium iodide, that is Ki, it is a chemical compound medication, and a dietary supplement. As a medication, it is used to treat hyperthyroidism. As a medication, it can be used to treat hyperthyroidism, in radiation emergencies, and to protect thyroid gland when certain types of radiopharmaceuticals are used. In the developing countries, it is also used to treat skin sporotrichosis and phycomycosis. Developing countries में ये problems होती है skin की, वहाँ पर ये fungal infections are due to spores of the fungus, due to the various type of ficus. So phycomycosis is a type of fungal infection, so it can be used to treat those problems. As a supplement, it is used in those who have low intake of iodine in diet. Potassium iodide has the chemical formula that is Ki. It is commercially made by mixing potassium hydroxide with iodine. Potassium iodide solution. How potassium iodide solution is made? 100 gram in 100 ml of solution. Potassium iodide solution is made by, that is 100 gram in 100 ml solution. It is used as iodine supplement and expectorant 0.3 ml, porotrichosis treatment, and 0.6 ml thrice a day is the dose. Okay, it is used as an expectorant, 0.3 ml use hoga. Porotrichosis treatment 0.6 ml thrice a day. The amount increased each day by 0.06 ml at each dose until maximum tolerance is reached. The treatment should be continued for 6 to 8 weeks for complete cure. The treatment should be continued for 6 to 8 weeks for complete cure. Now, there are some compounds which act by protein precipitation. So, the compounds listed under this category, they are boric acid, borax, silver nitrate, mild silver protein, mercury, yellow mercuric oxide, and ammoniated mercury. I repeat the names for the compounds that act by protein precipitation mechanism. कौन से हैं ये? बोरिक एसिड, बोरेक्स, सिल्वर नाइट्रेट, माइल्ड सिल्वर प्रोटीन, mercury, yellow mercuric oxide, ammoniated mercury. Now coming to boric acid. Boric acid, it has formula of H3BO3, molecular weight 61.83. Its synonyms are orthoboric acid or hydrogen borate. अगर क्वेश्चन आ जाता है describe or write a note on orthoboric acid or hydrogen borate, so you have to write about the boric acid only. It contains not less than 99.5% and not more than 100.5% of boric acid with reference to dried substance. Now coming to its methods of preparation. In laboratory, boric acid is obtained by adding a mixture of concentrated sulfuric acid and water to a boiling solution of borax. Boiling solution of borax, that is Na2B4O7 plus 5H2O plus H2SO4, it will give rise to Na2SO4 plus 4 moles of H3BO3, that is boric acid. This solution is filtered and crystals of boric acid are separated and washed until they become free from sulfate ions. This solution is filtered and the crystals of boric acid are separated and washed until they become free from sulfate ions. Commercially, boric acid is prepared by decomposing certain naturally occurring borates such as hydrated calcium borate. So, they are obtained by decomposition of these hydrated calcium borate. Hydrated means definitely it will contain some water molecule. So, Ca2B6O11 with 5 moles of water or pentahydrate plus 2 sulfur dioxide plus 2H2O, it will give calcium sulfate and 6 moles of boric acid. Coming to its physical properties, it is a colorless, odorless, white crystalline powder. White है तो we usually call it as a colorless. कोई odor नहीं होती है इसकी, कोई smell नहीं है. It is slightly acidic or bitter in taste, slightly. It is soluble in water and alcohol. It is stable in air and has a high melting point of 171 degree centigrade. Its 1.9% solution in water is isotonic with the serum. 1.9% means 1.9 gram in 100 ml water is isotonic with the serum. Coming to its chemical properties, on heating to 100 degrees centigrade, it loses one molecule of water. So H3BO3 will give rise to HBO2 plus water. This is first chemical reaction at 100 degrees centigrade. One molecule of water is lost. Then with alkali substance, it forms salt due to its acidic nature. H3BO3 plus, it is acid actually, and when it will react with alkali, it will lead to, wherever there is a reaction between acid and alkali, it will lead to the generation of a salt, and that salt is NaBO2, that is sodium metaborate, with 2 molecules of water. On reaction with sodium carbonate, it liberates carbon dioxide and borax is formed. On reaction with sodium carbonate, that is Na2CO3, it liberates carbon dioxide and borax. So the reaction is written like this: 4H3BO3 plus Na2CO3, that is sodium carbonate, to give Na2B4O7, that is borax, carbon dioxide and water. It reacts with alkali acids and fluorides. Alkali acids and fluorides to form sodium fluoroborate, that is NaBF4. NaHF2 plus H3BO3, it will give rise to NaBF4 plus NaOH plus H2O, that is water, 2 molecules of water. On reaction with calcium fluoride and concentrated sulfuric acid, it forms boron trifluoride. Okay, CaF2 plus 3H2SO4, that is sulfuric acid. On reaction with the boric acid, that is H3BO3, it will give rise to 3 molecules of calcium sulfate. Okay, then boron trifluoride and water. Coming to its identification test, solution of boric acid in alcohol in presence of few drops of concentrated sulfuric acid burns with green border flame due to the formation of ethyl borate. I repeat, the solution of boric acid in alcohol in the presence of just a few drops of sulfuric acid burns with a green border. The flame will be of green border due to the formation of ethyl borate. What is that? H3BO3 plus C2H5OH, it will lead to BC2H5O whole thrice plus 3 molecules of water. Second identification test, an aqueous solution of boric acid on addition of hydrochloric acid turns the turmeric paper to pink. Aqueous solution of boric acid on addition of hydrochloric acid turns the turmeric paper to pink or brownish red, which upon being moistened with ammonia solution changes to blue or greenish black. Okay. Third is the aqueous solution of boric acid is faintly acidic. जब आप उसका एक्वस सोल्यूशन बनाओगे ना और जब आप उसका पीएच चेक करते हो या पीएच पेपर डालते हो, इट इज स्लाइटली एसिडिक. देन कमिंग टू इट्स यूजेस, boric acid is a local anti-infective and is used in the preparation of various dusting powders, antiseptic creams and ointments. Okay, it is a weak bacteriostatic and fungistatic or fungistatic. Static means it will only stop the growth, it will not kill the bacteria. अगर सिर्फ बैक्टीरिया की ग्रोथ को रोक रहा है तो इट इज बैक्टीरियोस्टैटिक. If it is just stopping the growth of fungus, and it is called as fungistatic. So it is a weak bacteriostatic as well as fungistatic. Its aqueous solution in the concentration of 2.5 to 4.5%, it is used in the eye washes easily. Mostly लोगों के घरों में आपको ये मिल जाएगा. It is used for eye washes, and specifically when we are having that conjunctivitis, it is very oftenly used. The aqueous solution in the concentration of 2.5 to 4.5% is used as eye wash, mouthwash, and skin lotions too. It is used as an emollient, antiseptic ointment. It is used in the form of emollient, antiseptic ointment in the treatment of diaper rashes. In case of the babies where we frequently use the diapers and there are so many rashes, so it gives a soothing effect in the form of an antiseptic ointment. Boric acid is used in the preparation of buffer solution for topical medications to buffer uh, to maintain acidic pH. I repeat, the boric acid is used in the preparation of buffer solutions for topical medications to maintain acidic pH. Now, coming to borax. Borax is the formula is Na2B4O7 with 10 moles of water, 10 molecules of water. Its other name is sodium borate, sodium tetraborate, sodium pyroborate. All these are the synonyms for borax. Sodium borate, sodium tetraborate, sodium pyroborate. Method of preparation by using borocalcite, that is mineral with boron with sodium sulfate. The physical properties are like it is a colorless crystalline powder. Colorless crystalline powder है. It is odorless, does not have any odor of its own. Sweet alkaline in taste, soluble in water, and more soluble in boiling water. Okay, very easily solubilize हो जाता है ये, and it is insoluble in ethanol. Coming to the chemical properties, upon action of water, on reaction with water, it gives sodium metaborate. If water is added to borax, it will give rise to sodium metaborate. Coming to the uses, it is used as a topical agent, antimicrobial agent, antiseptic, eye wash preparation, gargles, mouthwash to treat oral cavity infection. Okay. Then come to the storage. It should be stored in a well-closed container at a cool place. Coming to the incompatibilities, this is incompatible with alkaloids, some metal salts, reducing agent, and with the zinc sulfate. Okay. Next is the silver nitrate, and its formula is AgNO3. How it is prepared? It is prepared by action of dilute nitric acid on pure silver. You can see the reaction here. It is 3Ag plus 4HNO3, that is nitric acid, to give 3 moles of AgNO3, that is silver nitrate, plus NO and nitric oxide and water, 2 molecules of water. Now, coming to its physical properties, it is colorless crystalline powder. It is odorless, slightly bitter in taste, soluble in water, soluble in boiling water also, soluble in ethanol, and it is light sensitive. So in general, whenever the compounds, they are light sensitive, they must be stored in amber colored bottles so as to prevent the direct exposure with the sunlight or light. Then coming to its chemical properties, upon action of heat, what will happen? On heating up to 212 degrees centigrade, 212 degrees centigrade, it will get decomposed. Okay. And the second reaction is reaction with sodium chloride. It will react with the silver nitrate, it will react with sodium chloride to give silver chloride. Coming to the uses, it is used as a topical agent, antimicrobial agent, astringents at high concentration. Astringents we have already discussed, that is they precipitate proteins, eye wash solution, and to treat burn injuries. Now coming to its storage, it should be closed in a well closed amber colored container at a cool place. Generally, they should be stored in the cool place. Then coming to mild silver protein. Mild silver protein, other name is argyrol. Argyrol, and its preparation is with the reaction of silver oxide with protein, and it will give rise to mild silver protein. Coming to its physical properties, the brown color granular powder, it is a brown colored granular powder, odorless, soluble in water, insoluble in ether, insoluble in ethanol. It is light sensitive and hygroscopic in nature. So generally we can say it is insoluble in the organic solvents. Coming to its identification tests, like mild silver protein, heat 1 gram of mild silver protein, sharing will take place, incinerate completely, a grayish white residue will be obtained, which after solution in or solubilizing in nitric acid and neutralization yields the reaction that are characteristic of silver. Second identification test is to 1% solution, 1% weight by volume solution is added a solution of ferric chloride, that is FeCl3. Then what will happen? The dark color is discharged and the solution becomes opalescent on standing. And third identification test is to a 1% weight by volume solution is added solution of mercuric chloride. No white precipitate is obtained and the liquid is not decolorized. Okay. What are the uses? It is used as topical agent, antimicrobial agent, and treatment of nose infection and treatment of throat infection. It should be stored in a well closed container at a cool place. Now coming to mercury, its formula is Hg and it is prepared by roasting cinnabar in air. Cinnabar is mercuric sulfide HgS plus oxygen, and it will give rise to Hg plus SO2. Coming to its physical properties, it is shining silvery white liquid, insoluble in water, insoluble in ethanol, soluble in nitric acid, extremely mobile. The mercury is extremely mobile, easily divisible into the minutest size of globules. Density is 13.6, it is highly dense, and its boiling point is 357 degree centigrade. Now coming to the chemical properties, the reaction with nitric acid, by reaction with nitric acid, it gives mercuric nitrate. On reaction with nitric acid, that is HNO3, it will give rise to mercuric nitrate. Coming to its uses, it is used as topical agent, antimicrobial agent, mercurial ointment, and treatment of syphilis. Now, it has to be stored in a well closed container at a cool place. But it is less popular or less used because of availability of some better drugs, as well as it is too toxic for the medicinal use. Now coming to the yellow mercuric oxide, that is HgO. Its synonym is yellow precipitate. So if a question comes for write a note on yellow precipitate, so don't get confused. The other name is the It is other name for yellow mercuric oxide. Coming to its preparation, it is prepared by mixing concentrated solution of mercury chloride into sodium hydroxide. Coming to its physical properties, like it is orange yellow colored powder, odorless, insoluble in water, insoluble in ethanol, soluble in nitric acid, and it is light sensitive. Coming to its chemical properties, upon action of heat to red hot, it evolves oxygen and vapors of metallic mercury. That means if you heat it to red hot, it will evolve oxygen and vapors of metallic mercury will be obtained. Topical, it is used as topical agent, antimicrobial agent, mild antiseptic, treatment of fungal infection, and in ophthalmic preparations. And again, it should be stored in a well closed container at a cool place. Next is the mercuric ammoniated mercury, that is HgNH2Cl, and its synonym is white precipitate. So if the question comes for white precipitate, it is the question that is we are asking about ammoniated mercury. So it is prepared by adding mercury chloride solution to ammonia with continuous stirring. Physical properties, as the name indicates, its name is white precipitate. So it is white amorphous powder, odorless, insoluble in water, insoluble in ethanol, and insoluble in ether. Coming to its uses, its topical agent, it is antimicrobial, mild antiseptic, treatment of skin infection, in ointments and in dusting powder, and like other preparations, it should be stored in a well closed container in a cool place. Now, what we have discussed in this unit, we have discussed about the various type of antimicrobials, inorganic antimicrobials, which should be which are used to treat various in microbial infections, and they should not be used internally. They are meant for external use only. Now coming to, there are some of the questions which may be asked, like what are antimicrobials?